I think that's the other thing in terms of like, I can't believe my luck. Like, fucking wow. And then there you are, and Heather before you, like literally, there it is. Like what you are, it is real because I'm watching it in real time with you.
Yeah.
So beautiful and so
It's
amazing.
real.
So yeah, it's real. And so yeah, in that way, you're trailblazing and you're setting reputation as well, actually, in the big marketing world and the big publishing world. You're setting reputation of Empress Editions by the quality of your work and the quality of your turning up. And that is a favor to all of us as well. So yes, stand up and be proud.
And, you know, I have to say that let's throw Substack into the mix here too, because had I never, you know, for me, Substack was a fluke. I joined because I thought I need some online platform to share with family.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, this was nothing more. And I had no idea what sort of community was going to grow from it. As I look into your beautiful eyes, you know, you're in the center of that. And it's like this hearth is so warm. And I never in a million years, none of this would be happening had I not stepped out onto Substack.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, ditto. I had no, and it keeps on giving. It keeps on deepening. It keeps on growing. I keep making real friendships, like with you and Elisa, and you know. And it is, yeah. I arrived totally, but actually, I was just on my knees. I'd probably said this a million times, but I'd had 3 novels turned down in traditional publishing, and I was like, "Can I write?" You know, it turned up.
Yeah.
And then Substack, it's like, holy shit, man, this extraordinary thing is happening. And I know, you know, yes, it's definitely grown. There's been this exponential growth in the last year, I think, which all of us who arrived back in sort of 22, 23 witnessed this sudden growth, and lots of things. Substack Live arrived and all kinds of things arrived. But it still retains this scent of relationships come first in my experience.
Yes, absolutely my experience. Going to answer your question, can I write? Hell yes, you can write. Eleanor. I am so thrilled for Fallout to come out, by the way. Oh, that was so fun to do the trailer for.
Oh my God, the trailer. So everybody, if you don't know it, it was Kim that put that trailer together. And when I watched that again, I had to show it to Andy. I was like, is this real? Can you believe this? Like, fucking hell, I've got no publishers ever. I mean, God knows I loved all the publishers I've worked with, but none of them has ever gone, fuck it, let's make a trailer. Look at this. Wow. Fine. Yeah. You know, and it's amazing. You're so clever. It's
Elisa, I'll say, you know, she gives me kind of the notes and the architecture, and then I just go have fun with it and find the footage, and you know, it's so much fun though. And when especially for these books that I've read and fallen in love with, and I mean, it's like I get to visualize this now in 30 seconds.
And do it so well. Oh my God. Yeah. So on that, the trailer that's for Unfixed is absolutely beautiful. I've just been watching it again. And the music, that's Charlie, right?
Yes. And if you paid attention to the lyrics, he's literally singing a song. I think this one came out in 1981. For everyone that doesn't know, this is my biological father. Never met him. He didn't know I existed. But he sang a song before he died on Lake Michigan in a sailing accident that basically he says, I fear that I'm the father of a son or daughter, but I know it shall never be.
Yep.
Yes. So, wow. When I heard that song, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And that just scratches the surface. That's why I had to write this book, because there are so many mysterious little things that have happened in the last 10 years that make me believe the veil is a lot more thin than we think it is. I just couldn't not write it down because it made me believe in magic again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so much time traveling going on in what you've just said. There's so much interchange of timelines and voices. And in fact, I've just spent the last half an hour listening to everything of him on YouTube.
Oh,
he was funny.
He was a goofball.
He was a goofball, yeah.
Total Midwestern goofball. Oh my God. And and what's not on YouTube is He had a public television show called Long Ago Is All Around.
Oh my
Total Luddite.
God.
Like he really liked, the past. So much so that he befriended all of the elderly neighbors in the valley where he built the home. And when he died, his siblings went to the house and got all the paperwork and everything and found out that when those elderly died, they had deeded the land to him. So Charlie bought the land, bought like a couple acres. When he died, he had 80 acres of land, mostly from elderly who just said, I love this guy. I'm going to give him my land.
Wow.
So anyway, this show Long Ago Is All Around was all about him going around to different areas in the Midwest and kind of talking about the history and the natural history, especially. So yeah, he was just
Wow.
a goofball.
It's amazing to hear his voice. I heard him speak at a poem, and looking at his face and knowing you. And
Mm.
just tell me about the very moment of inception of Unfixed, the memoir. What was that? Can you remember that moment? And was it his voice, or was it who was speaking to you saying, you got to put pen to paper right now?
Oh, is it ever my voice? I feel like I am so not a planner. So it probably
Yeah.
was a combination of my adopted, the father that raised me and his voice somewhere in the ethereal realm, just like not not like whispering, but like yanking on my hair, saying,
Okay.
you got to get this shit down. But how that comes
Okay.
through is through my own anxiety, which is that I have a terrible memory. All this wonderful, beautiful shit is happening to me. I need to write it down. So the way it was translating for me was literally just, I'm going to forget all of this someday. And so I
Mm,
better write it down. It's as
yeah.
simple as that. It's not romantic. It was like, I'm going to forget all these details.
So do you remember that moment, that first moment you sat down and wrote the very first bit?
I remember where I was. I was upstairs at my husband's computer. I didn't even have a computer anymore. I was so dizzy had been dizzy for 5 years. So I wasn't working. He was at work. And I remember not the moment, but I remember the general time because I wrote it in about 3 months. I mean, once I started,
Really?
I didn't stop.
Wow.
And
And in the order that we read it, pretty much
very much
unchanged?
so. Yeah.
Wow.
The book with Molly's help, Molly Zakur, my editor, she
Yep.
shifted some timelines around a little bit, but the serialized was largely how I wrote it. So
Wow.
I don't even know if to me, it was one of those where I'm not sure I wrote it. It was like,
Sure.
it was just sort of coming through me. I was still really dizzy, laying on the floor a lot of the time in between paragraphs, just like, what the fuck is happening to me? I mean, I
Okay,
was in
that's
a,
so
a
wild.
state of not I wasn't grounded in myself yet at all.
Okay.
Um, and when I finished, I just put it on a hard drive and I forgot about it
For how
for
long?
3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years. But I was happy. I was like, it's there.
Got it out.
Yeah, got it out. And then
Yeah.
it wasn't what inspired me to pull it back out again was I had worked through a lot of things as I wrote it. And my mom and my brother and some other close family members, I felt like they needed to sort of be part of that. And so I decided to just share with them. And then it was through
Okay, so
their
okay.
encouragement. They said,
Yeah.
maybe you should share this with a few other people. And I thought, well, shoot, let's just put it online then so people can do whatever they want with it.
If anybody listening, if anyone's got that same thing going on, like, oh, maybe I'll just put it online. Watch and do you know what I mean?
Be
Look what
careful.
happens. Well, no, but look what happens. I mean, because often, I teach a memoir class around memoir and the body. And there's often a sense that like, oh, who's going to be interested in, oh, no, it's just but actually, I mean, that's how I found you. These very detailed human stories of a person that I would never have found if you hadn't written that. These are the ties that bind, the interconnecting tissue which bring us all together and connect us and that's what fascinates me. And I had exactly the same experience with my memoir. I wrote it so that I didn't have to carry it around in my head.
Mm.
Right. So it was just like out of me. But actually what it did was connect me more deeply to the stories that I'd needed to tell. And and give me a kind of 30,000-foot view on the entire thing.
Yes, that's it. I think it gives us, we don't even know we're doing it, but I think we start weaving a thread
Yeah.
through it that gives us some sort of coherence, extracts meaning, all these things that at first felt like, just a massive stew of ingredients. Somehow in the writing, it starts to develop coherence, or
Yeah.
at least that's how I felt.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And so were you conscious that you had both your dad's voices
Mhm.
coming through during that process? And was that the first time Charlie's voice had come through to you?
Well, that's an interesting one. I mean, even before I knew that I had a different father, that Charlie was my father, I have had not a lot of reoccurring dreams in my life, but I've had one reoccurring subject in a dream, and it is a male version of myself. And
Mm.
and it's always just, we're laughing and goofy and playful. And it doesn't happen every week. It doesn't even happen every year, but I remember this person like viscerally. Even as I talk about it,
Mm.
I get shivers. And this person, I am certain, was visitations from Charlie, because
Yeah.
I was like, who is this person? This blonde fun. I kept thinking, like, is this some man I'm going to meet someday?
This was like pre-knowing about Charlie, you were
Oh God,
getting
this
these
is since I was
visitations.
a child. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, I've had these dreams
okay.
ever since I was a
Oh,
child. And I mean, and it just sort of, it occurs, every 4 months or something. Like, oh, there he was again. He just appeared. Like, who is that man? I love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
wild.
at what point did you realize it was him?
Well, when I discovered, so 10 years ago was when the DNA test happened. So when I was 40, that's when, I had found a picture of him, one of his albums on eBay, had shared it before the DNA test, I had shared it with my husband without any prompting or context. And I said, who do you think this might be? And he said, I don't know, but it looks like it could be your dad. And I thought, okay, there's something here. There's just it's like a smell, when you smell something and it's like, home. That's home.
But how did you know? Sorry to interrupt, but how did you, like, you had a DNA test with your dad,
With my
the dad
brother.
with your
With
brother.
Yeah, and he
So
was a
how
half
and
sibling.
he was a half. So how
Yeah.
did you know that? I mean, how was Charlie even in the mix? Like,
Because my mom had always had, when I was 17, before my dad that raised me died, he asked my mom to take me for a walk and tell me the story.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
I remember.
but it was just dismissed. It was, there's a chance that your dad might not be your dad, but isn't it wonderful you belong to the mystery, was kind of how it was told. And I was one of those teenagers, very much like, you tell me what to think. I don't know, myself wasn't very differentiated from the selves around me. So that was her,
Sure.
hook, line, and sinker. Yep, I belong to the mystery. Dad
Okay.
died 6 months later. I had a massive alliance to him. I just adored that man. And it was put out of my mind. It
Mm.
became a family joke, kind of like, she didn't know his last name, so there was no way to search for it. This was even pre-internet. But no one believed it. It wasn't possible that this man, it was just, well, mom had a one night stand with a guy named Charlie. That was it. And,
Right.
ha ha ha, isn't that funny? But it wasn't until 2014, the spring of 2014, that my mom, out of the blue, we were walking the beach in Mexico, and we weren't even really talking about paternity or anything. She just wanted to talk about that story again. And she remembered his last name. When she remembered his last name, I had enough information to Google it. And it took 30 seconds to Google that name and see that image pull up. And that's when I showed it to my husband. And I was like,
Oh,
this
wow.
is weird. Something's different here.
Understatement of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And then,
of course, we had to go to my mom and say, "Are you
sure.
sure there was no other men?" Because since
Yeah.
it was both fathers were dead, we had to do this test with my brother.
Yeah.
And my mom swore there was no other man. She thought she was pregnant even when she had this affair with Charlie, this one night fling on the summer solstice at a music festival. So it was not, she just really put it out of her mind too. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And when his face popped up on the internet and suddenly you had a visual, and then did you think of the man that had been visiting you in your dreams? And was there an actual visual like, oh my God,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
him? Or, okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, it's
Ugh,
it's essentially I
amazing.
wish I could go grab it, but he's a male version of me. I
Well, I was
all
looking at the
it
photograph of him on YouTube and I was
Yeah,
like, that's a male version of him.
yeah.
Right.
And even
Wow.
when I met his family who adored him, I mean, he died when he was 36, so it was very young. So when I appeared, they didn't even ask me for the confirmation of the DNA test. They're just like, "Oh God, you're a Brower."
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
So,
wild. And how was that feeling when you walked into that family that you'd never met before?
oh, well, scary at first. It was
Okay.
I my talking back to the nervous system. My nervous system had been so derailed at that point, and while they opened their arms and their hearts to me in ways that many people do not have the privilege of experiencing in this era of DNA tests, I had the most warm reception, but
Mm,
I was losing my mind.
mm,
It really pulled the rug out from beneath my feet to the point where I was like, "Kimberly, just relax. Like nothing's changed. What's the matter?" Like I was trying to tell myself, "What is the big deal?" My body was not having it. It was really, really scary.
yeah.
I mean, essentially, I think I just had a 6-month long panic attack. It didn't
Yeah.
stop, which then made the dizziness start. And so they saw me when I first met them. I was a really dizzy mess. I mean, I
That was
remember
right at the beginning, or was it of
I
the
went to
initial?
urgent care one of the days when we were visiting them. I mean, I was in and out of just
Wow.
misery. And I told them before I got on the plane, I said, "I need to tell you guys, I am not myself. I don't know what's going on. The ground feels like water. I can't sleep." And they said, "We love you anyway. Get on that plane, even if we see you for 3 minutes and give you a hug and you need to sleep the rest of the time. You are welcome as you are." And I mean,
Wow.
with so much receptivity, they just said, "That's okay. We love you." And
Wow.
yeah, so that was nothing that they did that made me nervous. It was my own doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a lot about the effect it had on your system, and I'm gonna mispronounce it. Wait for me to mispronounce it. Mal de def d I can't say it. Can you say it?
Well,
Can't say
you're in
it.
France right now, so it is French.
I knew I wanna say it.
Mal
Mal de
de débarquement.
d'embarquement.
Barquement,
Yeah,
which
which
may
is
mean bad disembarkment.
bad disembarkment.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
yeah.
you've talked about it a lot in other interviews, but it is just so absolutely extraordinary that that should be how your body presents the experience of Charlie appearing in your life and he was lost at sea. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
What the fuck? What the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's
And
pretty
even
wild.
just like, I mean, the instability of it, to feel like
Yeah,
your foundation has been pulled out, the foundation of my identity was cracked. And then to
yeah.
feel that same destabilization underneath my feet, it's just so wild that my body manifested the perfect metaphor.
It's so
The
wild. And
perfect
the
metaphor.
perfect metaphor. And actually to circle back to your experience of the whole overall, this sense of magic around this entire experience, although I'm sure that's not the word you've used in your darkest hours at all.
Woo!
Yeah.
So magical.
So magic. I can't stand up. But yeah, this
Yeah.
as an overall, or I think maybe we get to stand back and witness this overall
Mhm.
globe of
Yes,
magic happening.
absolutely, and I'm there with you. I'm standing back and feeling it too, and so much so
Mm.
that I also I've mentioned this before in other interviews, but one of the treatments for obsessive compulsive disorder, which I definitely have had intrusive thinking and that, type of anxiety. One of the treatments is exposure therapy. And my growing up all my life, I've been more hyper vigilant around my body of like, I'm afraid to feel discomfort in my body. So my body gave me the exact exposure therapy I needed to find peace in the storm. Like I'm always somewhat destabilized and uncomfortable in this form. And my brain doesn't react to it anymore, just like a dirty doorknob. It's like, oh, I'm okay. I'm going to live. It's all right. And 24/7 of that has just been like kind of a miracle that my body was smart enough to give me something so that I could finally be free of this this tormenting fear of being uncomfortable or in pain in my body. Isn't that wild?
It's extraordinary. And it reminds me, I'm going to read some of your work back to you because I happened to get a quote and I wanted you to unpack it a little bit because it's so extraordinary. So you say, the vestibular and stress response centers in the brain are deeply intertwined, and the more we focus on them, the more we amplify them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Isn't that wild?
It's too wild.
And
Can you
that's
unpack that for people who maybe aren't familiar?
Yeah. So, the book is titled Unfixed. The media production is Unfixed. And that is that idea that we don't need to constantly focus and fix and manage these parts of our lives to the point where, we're living in the ideal utopia that we imagine that we're supposed to be living in. All of the pursuit of that itself basically can tell our brain that we're in danger because the pursuit is somewhat hypervigilant.
Right.
I think there are people that have experienced the dizziness, the early episodic dizziness, like way, way, way back in 2014, even when I started having these episodic moments. There are people that don't have the fixated, like, oh shit, I got to focus on that and I got to fix that. And what is that? They just go, oh, weird. What did I eat? And then they fall asleep. Like my husband, will just fall asleep. And then it doesn't turn into a chronic 24/7 thing.
Okay. See that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think really, truly, the more we fixate on, for some of us, the more we fixate on it, it's just basically telling our brain that we're in danger. You better watch out.
Right.
Look at that. There's a tiger coming.
And it's a really unfair, vicious circle, right? Like my boyfriend, Andy, he's hypervigilant and he's just developed tinnitus. I hope he doesn't mind me telling everyone this.
Yeah.
And he's meeting. So now he's learning everything about tinnitus. And he meets loads of people who are like, yeah, I've got tinnitus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they don't fixate on it because they're not hypervigilant. And so it's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
But for him, that's his whole life has been about check, 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 check. And so it grows. And that's what, when I read that, or I heard you say it, and my heart was just like, that's so fucking unfair.
I know.
So unfair.
And I think it's just some part of our wiring, if we're wired that way. But I was able to unwire myself. I'm not a fixator anymore. I had to.
Because of the like tsunami of it. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I had to go to tsunami level to stop fixating, but it finally broke in me. It broke.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think it might be in our wiring, but I also think we can eventually train ourselves to just through sort of the exposure therapy, really. It would be like your husband waking up and hearing the tinnitus and just going, right. It's like me feeling the dizziness and going, hi, there you are.
Yeah, I'm convinced he's going to become enlightened and he's going to become my guru. You're going to become my guru. He's going to suddenly break through, or not. Who cares if he doesn't? I'll stick with him anyway because I love him dearly. It's like, but I really want him. I keep imagining this amazing moment when it's like, okay, and the wave breaks, and so it's really beautiful to hear actually that
Yeah.
That's been your experience.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah,
not even, I would say it's not just my experience, but the greatest gift of my life. Because
yeah,
now I know I can be at peace no matter what. Like it does not, even us talking this morning, shit, I haven't been sleeping very well I'm not fixated on it, I'll try something, I'll see what I can do, and it's a bummer, but I'm not going to just freak out about it anymore. And it's just, life will test me for
right.
sure. And it has, but it doesn't go to that same level now where I feel like I just know I can survive it. I know I can survive it. So,
And that bit as well, I think for anybody listening with chronic conditions, that as far as I understand, like there's a clear difference between fixation and curiosity. It's not that you
Mhm.
cease to look. Of course, we're human. We all want to find out and understand and
Mhm.
find that kind of peace and have that sort of change. But that difference between fixation and curiosity, I've
Yeah.
been thinking about it as well in terms of that balance between being completely present, but at the same time getting out of the way. Right.
Yeah, totally.
How do you do that? And
And I
yeah.
think, Eleanor, I think one of the ingredients, without sounding too like woo woo, I think the ingredient is love. Because for
Mhm.
me, if we can enter into the curiosity with love
Mm,
and just go, with the dizziness. Oh, hi there, and God, I hear the little voices going, again, why are we
mm,
doing? And you just hold it and you stay curious about it. You don't say it's going to go
mm,
away. You don't try to fix it, but you just hold it with compassion and
mm,
love. And I think that there is that to me is the distinction between
mm,
fixation and curiosity.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's absolutely true. And there's no doubt that the many people I know who've going through really difficult stuff, often at the heart of it is that sense of not feeling loved and not feeling held and
Hmm.
perhaps not loving themselves and not being able, not feeling safe enough to love others. But
Yeah.
it's the connective tissue
Yeah.
without any doubt. And on that, did you feel, going back to your father, and I want you to know, by the way, I've been here in the south of France for nearly 2 weeks. Just today, without thinking about I was speaking to you, this is my father's shirt that I picked up.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
He
yay, I
wore it
love that.
all the time. And as I put it on, I was thinking, that's interesting. And then I sat down, I was like, oh,
Oh,
fathers.
oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Fathers
So,
are, I mean, I was a daddy's girl, that 100%. And they are such an impressionable figure in our lives. I, I
mm,
I long for that. And even
mm,
to the point, this was unconscious again, but my
mm,
father that raised me, his name was David. And here we are talking about Charlie, my biological father, my husband of 20 years. Prior to learning any of this information, guess what his first and middle name is? David Charles.
Dave, no way. I
Yeah.
knew his name was David. I didn't know his middle name. That
Middle
is
name Charles. I mean, come
Kimberly.
on.
Too much, Kimberly, too much.
I know. That's why I say I'm not writing this story. Someone else is like, I've
Yeah,
got these
someone else.
two. Like, I think
That
my
is,
fathers are both just playing tricks on me.
they're playing tricks on you. But just to go back to Charlie, did you feel in those dreams and visitations, and did you feel loved? And were you able to? Is there a love piece there that's been?
You know, that's an interesting one. I can't say there is. It's a more of a I mean, there's definitely the curiosity, and I love writing these fictional pieces with his poetry where
Yeah, I want to
like,
get to that.
I can kind of dig into who he was, but he was young when he died. He was
Mm,
36, and even prior to, 36, he was writing and wrestling with his own ego and still kind of a punk and, dating lots of women. And I like, it's funny. It makes me think that my love on some level is conditional because I have to build not respect, but some rapport with a person to feel that love. And in the dreams, yes. I can feel that like carefree joy and some sort of deep, deep connection, but it doesn't compare to the love that I have for my father that raised me.
Mm,
I mean, doesn't
okay.
even, I would love to feel it, but I think I've had to kind of come to terms with that in myself.
Mm,
That's like, I don't think I do feel, I definitely don't feel it the way I do for my father, who was there for
mm.
me, even if he did doubt that I was, maybe he even doubted that I was his daughter, and he was 1,000% there for me in so
Oh, did
many.
did did he know, or he didn't know, or you don't know?
Well, he only knew that there was my mom the day after the fair came home and told him that she'd had sex with a man, and he didn't have much to say about it because he'd already had sex with 3 nurses at the hospital. So, you know,
Right. It was the
free love in the
70s.
70s.
Yeah.
So he didn't
Okay.
have much to say about it,
Okay.
but my mom did say that he looked at me once when I was an
Mm,
infant, and he remembers thinking, "Is she mine?" And then he put it out of his mind because he felt
mm,
like I might hear those thoughts, and he
mm,
didn't want me to hear those thoughts.
mm.
So he probably did, it probably
Yeah.
did come up. Um, but I think he just was devoted. He was just devoted to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change the love and care and nurture,
Mm-mm.
that
No.
blood piece. I've
Yeah.
never met a person who, didn't know, a person who was either discovered that their biological and real were different, or that in any way round, I've never met a person who didn't, on discovery, say, "I always knew." Like, somewhere
Mhm.
deep inside of them, their blood, your blood knows. And I don't mean your blood as in, if your fight is a real, but there's something, your gut, something instinctive is just aware, actually, just what the truth is. It doesn't really matter, no judgment
Yeah.
over it, but literally what the truth is.
Yeah, and even my dad and I were very affectionate. After ballet, I would come home and I'd curl up on his lap, even as a teenager, and we would take naps in the afternoon. And like I even have a picture of him. He looks dead because his mouth is all slack jaw, and I'm like curled up underneath a sheep rug. And I just like, I remember sometimes feeling like, is this okay? And maybe that was just because a teenager shouldn't be doing that with her dad, or whatever. But
Mm,
there was some sense that like, I don't know, like it's just the smell. It was like a smell again, where it's
yeah,
like smell is not quite right, not
yeah,
quite right. And I love you, but, and that
yeah,
is what kind of really did a number on my own psyche growing up, is because
yeah,
you
yeah,
smell something that's off, but the story is presented in a different way. So then you end up distrusting yourself. You end up
yeah.
distrusting your own instincts because you're like, well, then must be me that's wrong. So,
Yeah, I mean, that will destabilize and disorder any nervous system.
mhm.
Because, yeah, if the inside doesn't match the outside,
Yeah.
we tend to blame ourselves. That's
Yes,
that's the
exactly.
basic equation. Yeah,
Mhm. The untold, I think Danny Shapiro calls it the untold truths or something like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
we feel them, the body knows,
The body
and the
knows.
body
Yeah,
knows, and my body knew,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah. Mm,
So the essays you're writing, or the fiction, non-fiction that is Charlie, it is
mhm.
Charlie, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah,
defense
mhm.
of, that's Charlie.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. You finished the memoir, and then what he was like, I'm not finished. I've got more. What happened?
Well, I mean, In Defense of largely is just me defending all the different things that society thinks that we should try to banish. So uncertainty and loneliness and living alone or whatever it is. I even go to like bitterness and the color beige and all the things that I just want to champion, the
Yeah,
underdogs. So that started mostly as that, because I feel like Unfixed is something that was centering around chronic illness, but it had so many more branches to it. So
yeah,
it started as that. But then, as we do here on Substack, I just wanted to play more. And you guys are all such gorgeous writers of fiction. And I thought, I don't do that, but maybe I'll try. And I needed some prompts. And for me, just starting in the middle of nothing didn't feel right. So I went back to I have 3 books of Charlie's poetry. I have 186 hours of his TV show. I have all these different things. So, like, why not go into those poems and imagine what was happening on that day, or what did he mean by that? I mean, some of them are kind of obscure. And so for me, it was just a way to sort of deepen into his story. And I really loved second person. I started writing as second person, and I thought, this is fun because then I get to feel like I'm hovering over him and inside of him. Like, I know your thoughts. I know this is what you're thinking, but he's saying it. I'm saying it as if he's saying it too. I don't know. It really freed up something in me.
Well, I mean, reading them, it's so clear that is Charlie speaking.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
they're so visceral. I read again the one when he goes and performs, but before that I read the one of lying down on the road.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of Cormac McCarthy, actually. I've got to tell you, it was just had so much to it. It was just McCarthy. But let's just take a minute to let that in.
That went right over my head.
But the moment I started reading it, I was like, okay, I'm in his body and we're walking along. It's like, it's so clear, his voice. And so my experience reading them is that he is, entering inside of you and using you as a conduit, and he is speaking.
How freaking cool. I mean, if that's what's happening, then I'm all for it. Like, use me, Charlie, because he did die young, and he was a creative genius. He really, really had so much. He was writing for Sailing Magazine. He had these incredible stories. I have many of them in the closet right here of just these fictional stories that he was writing and never really got to the meat of his life.
Yeah.
So if I
it
get
doesn't
to
feel like fiction. It doesn't feel like fiction.
Wow.
They don't feel like fiction.
I struggle writing. I'll tell you that. Like, words don't come easily for me. I close my eyes and grind my teeth a lot. Like, what is my
that's
body
just called
trying
writing. Can I just say that's just called writing?
See, in my head, it's like everybody's like, here's Eleanor.
No. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so writing for all of us, not easy. But I will say these 3 second person Charlies in defense of, they just flew out. They came out so easily. And like, it's just like I'm right there hovering over him, watching the whole scenario. And so that feels thrilling when typically it's just, laborious.
Yeah, and it's a ride. I mean, I'll use the word again, they feel visceral. So whether they are, they're absolutely, to me as a reader, they're fiction in all their beautiful, in their language and in their arcs and in the storytelling of them. But they also feel literally like I'm inside his body walking along that road. So there's that, they're magic, to use that word again. They're really great.
Oh,
and it is, he may have been a great writer, but you're a great writer. They are lyrical and beautiful, and they just hit that mark between, like, we're right in there and they're full of description, but there's nothing extraneous. Like, there's no overdoing. And that's a very, very fine line to walk, like that line he walks on the road. And you're walking it.
Thank you, Eleanor.
They're really beautiful.
God, that means so much to me. That makes me want to write another one. I mean,
good.
I've got plenty of poems. This one was challenging, though, because I didn't even know what the hell he was writing about with this.
Yeah.
That poem was very abstract.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was
Was it on the page like that? Was it on
Yeah,
the
it
page
was
like
on the
that?
page like that.
Page
Yeah,
like
I
that.
had it. I transcribed it so that it was exactly the way it was in the book. But I knew that he had gotten a medical leave from the San Diego Navy base and was 69, was headed to Vietnam, right with all of his buddies. And I knew that he felt guilt about it. I knew he never wanted to go. And I don't know if he hitchhiked home from there, but it built up this tension in me of like, and how did he feel about that with all of his
Mm.
friends heading straight over to Vietnam, and a fluke for him. He had been in a toboggan accident like 6 months earlier and broke his spine, and so he got out of it. And
Wow.
I just, it does make me, he carried some heaviness in him. I know
Yeah.
that only because, now I haven't read his journals, but his sister has all of his journals, and she's conveyed to me that he was not a very happy guy at the end of his
Mm.
life. He was struggling a lot with his choices. Um, yeah. And I know those places in my own mind where you second
Mm.
guess everything and you want something, but it doesn't, it's just, there's too much dialogue in here to make it happen.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you're doing him a favor,
mm,
doing what you're doing,
mm,
because he's speaking again and there's a finishing that's happening, I think.
Oh,
That's how it
wow.
feels when I read them.
That's,
Like he's alive.
oh, thank you for saying this. It hasn't occurred to me.
No, it
Truly.
wouldn't because you're in the middle of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I want to like go digging through his poems. It's a little bit like tarot. I'll just throw them on the floor and I'm like, which one do
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to do next?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of course they're all like typed out, I mean, none of
No.
these were from a computer. They're like just hands written and typed out, and it's just wild. Um, I think I included in the memoir, one of the stories he wrote right before he died was about a
Yeah.
sailor feigning his death in a sailing accident, and of course that's how he dies. So again, there's also that, which of course none of us believe that he's around anymore, but how strange.
Mm, I
Because
know.
there is someone that thinks one of the beauties behind Empress, that one of the angel
Yeah.
investors says, I think Charlie's still alive.
Oh God. Imagine if he turned up in New York.
I know. I'm like, well, you're going to be on a billboard, Charlie, in Times
Yeah,
Square soon. So
right. So turn up.
turn up.
Jesus. Is that
Yeah, maybe there's a part 2 to this that we're not even aware of.
fucking hell.
Fucking hell.
Is that timeline possible? As in, like, how old would he be?
Well, yeah. He would be 70. He was born in 49. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God, Kim.
74. No,
Okay.
he would be very much, he had a very loving family. So that's the part. And he was very connected to them. So that's the part where, like, why would you fake your death if you have a
Why
great
would you
family?
disappear? Yeah.
But there
But
are stories of people getting hit on the
people
head,
do it all the time.
having amnesia, forgetting
Yeah.
who the fuck they are, and
Until
then
they see
starting,
themselves on a billboard in Times Square and go, "What the fuck?"
okay, Elisa, you got to capture that on camera if that happens.
If that happens. Jeez. Okay. To be continued.
To be
Fucking
continued.
hell.
I know.
So before we go, I just want to touch on the unfixed writing life that you're doing. Do you want to tell
Yeah.
people about that? Because what an incredible opportunity to come and work with you.
Oh, thank you, Eleanor. Well, this came about because for me, I am walking in the dark and very much wayfinding that way. And that is how I found my words. It is even not an accident that I told you this is Ocean Vuong's book.
Mm.
Have you read, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
Truly one of my favorite, might be my number one favorite book. And
It's extraordinary.
one of the things that really helped me with this book is because English wasn't his first language.
Mm.
Vietnamese was. And so his metaphors are imperfect, and like the way he finds his descriptions and his emotions, and embodies them is unusual. They're not kind of how we typically express ourselves. And it gave me permission to do the same because I feel often like English isn't my first language. Not that there's another language,
Yeah. No, but I
but it's,
understand what you mean.
yeah, like kinesthesia is my first language.
Yeah.
And so I can't be the only one. And this course is called Writing the Unfixed Life. And I feel like we can look at unfixed. It doesn't have to mean you're in chronic illness or you're in the middle of a divorce or any of that. It can just mean you're in the dark with those words. And let's find those words because they're there. And I found those words in my body. And it's slow and it's quiet and it's very, very mysterious and fulfilling to finally hear that there is knowledge and wisdom in there.